Welcome to another video from McFatter Tech Musser. If you like these videos, please click subscribe. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world when you're watching this. We're going to do a little lab on Wireshark today. Actually, not even a lab, an explanation of how we can customize the display of Wireshark to fit the investigation that we're performing. We use Wireshark all the time, whether it be in networking or in cybersecurity. It's just simply one of the most valuable tools we have at our disposal. Now I've got a capture up on my screen here, and as you can see by looking at, there's some DNS traffic, there's TCP, there's HTTP, there's also some TLS HTTPS traffic that we can't see here yet. But we want to see some information that's relative to our investigation. That's the whole idea, right? You want to be able to find what you need to find. So if you're doing some type of web investigation, well, maybe what we've got on the screen doesn't quite fit the need. A lot of times malware that gets into your network, this is how it comes in, through HTTP, through our web traffic. So we can customize our view to get a little bit better display. Now, out of the box, this is what we see. We see a packet number or a sequence number. Wireshark assigns that. This is the frame number shown from the beginning of the capture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. That is a number assigned by Wireshark. There's no other place you're going to find that number. Secondly, there's time. The default display is time from the beginning of the capture. Now that might be good if you're simply doing an experiment, doing a lab, but if you're doing an investigation, you want a real time. So we're going to look at how we change that. Source IP address, destination IP address, protocol, the length, the size of the frame, and then an info. Basic, but maybe it's not enough. Not enough for you to be able to get the information you need without going into each individual frame and drilling in and invest. You know what? Give ourselves more information right on that top section where we've got all these columns. So maybe we want to remove some columns, maybe we want to change some columns. Well, there's a number of different ways we can do this. I can, right here on the header where it says time, source, etc., I can right click and I could select, for example, I could just click on protocol and just instantaneously protocol's not shown anymore. Now it's still there. I could right click and re-enable it. I could right click and I could go to column preferences and I could add my own custom columns. This might be important. So here I added a new one. And by default, when you add it, it just simply says new column. You'd want to change that to be something specific. New column, whatever it's going to be. And then over here where it says number, this is where you're going to pick what is being shown. So if I double click on that, I've got a drop down and you can see all the various options that I've got for this column to display. A lot of different ones. I'm going to remove that again. I'm going to go back to our just plain Jane out of the box display. When we're investigating something, let's say I begin my investigation and I start off and I've got this first DNS packet that's right on my screen. I say, you know what? Yeah, I know what port DNS communicates to, but what port did it come back to? Well, if we look on our center section where we've got a detail of the frame, we can see I've got user datagram protocol expanded out, and right there's my source port and destination port. And so you know what? That might be important to see. So if I simply right click on source port, I can select apply as column, and there it's added. I can do the same thing for destination port, apply as column. You go, well, wouldn't it be useful to have source port beside source address? Yeah, it would be. If I right click and go to my column preferences again, I can come down here to source port, I can drag it up. Do I see that little horizontal line? Let go. Same thing with destination port, drag it up, let go, click OK, and now my information is grouped just the way it should be. I can see the port that it communicated to, the port that the communication came from, the IP address. I'm starting to get a little bit better view of that communication. Now, maybe I want to be able to see the web server that was being communicated with. And now here, frame number 6. I can see that the get, this is me, my client asking for a web page. I want to get a web page. And the web page is, what's the difference between a college and university? Well, you know, that doesn't tell me a whole lot. But if I drill into the hypertext transfer protocol down here below, I can see right there is the host. That's the name of the web server. Again, I can right click on it and apply as a column. And now I can see, without even having to drill into it, exactly which web server that communication took place with. If I scroll down, let's see, is there any other ones? Well, I don't see a whole lot more. Huh? Well, why is that? Because by default, how much of our communication these days is on HTTP? It's not. It's on HTTPS, right? It's using encrypted. How? Well, if that whole communication is encrypted, how can I view that? Let's take a look at this. If I simply type in TLS, right here I can see now, through just the use of that display filter, I only see my TLS communication. Well, this is a client saying hello. If I drill into transport layer security in here in my detail center, I can again drill into the TLS version 1.2. I can drill into that handshake protocol client hello. If I come down here, looky here, what's all this details? Extension server name. Let's expand that. And expand server name indication extension. Look, even though that TLS communication is encrypted, we can still see the server that's being communicated with. I'm going to right click, and here again I'm going to apply as a column, and now I've got my servers that encrypted communication is being made to. Maybe something stands out, something in your investigation. What's there that ticks off and says, hey, this is where we need to investigate. This is where our investigation's leading us. We can see all these different things. So these are some of the ways that we can add custom columns. Here again, let's go back up here under TCP. Remember, there are specific streams, and each conversation can be different. Let's change our view to TCP. So here's our TCP. There's my, I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top. Okay, so here we can see sequence number, source ports, TCP segment, that's segment length, that's, sequence numbers. If I come down through here, we can start to see some information change. Come down further. So here again, we can go into here, sequence, streams. There's a lot of information here again. Any one of these columns that might be relative, you could right click and apply as a column. Don't just do it to everything. Be selective in what you do. But there's a lot of information that you can display in that top section that'll key you in to what you need to be investigating to help show you that flow of information as far as what happened. Now, if I want to see just HTTP, but I only want to see GET, I only want to see request for a web page, I can type in HTTP dot request, hit enter, and now here is each and every GET request. We can see that there on the right hand side. This is each time that our client asks for a web resource, but it's only HTTP. Remember that much of what we do is on TLS. Well, if I change that view from HTTP and I go to SSL dot handshake, not shack, shake dot type, and then I specify equals 1, there's all my TLS communications to those servers. You can see that also corresponds with that client hello for the TLS communication. That's the same as that I want to get a web page. The same as the HTTP GET request. That's what we're seeing here. You say, okay, well, but maybe both communications are going on at the same time. Maybe we had a client who tried to communicate to a secure resource and was redirected to a non-secure where malware came in. Never know. So we can change our filter, our display filter view. I can add that http.request and then use an OR statement. OR will show me either or. Now I get both. I can see the HTTP GET request. I can see the TLS GET request. And here we go. Ways to get all the information that you need right at your fingertips to key your investigation. Now in the beginning, when we were talking about the default fields, we talked about time being, by default, it shows time from the beginning of the capture. If you're doing an investigation, you need evidence that correlates with your other systems. Maybe with when an event occurred on a router or on a firewall or an intrusion on a server. We need to change that time display. So if we go up to View, Time Display Format, we could select something like UTC year, day of year, time of day. Depends on what your investigation specifies. You'll see that one is the number. This one that's highlighted right now would be the day of the year in a numeric sequence versus year, day, month, or such. Let's select that. Now over here on our display, I'm going to make this a little bit wider, give us a little bit of a gap so we can see. Now we have the year, month, day, the time, and we've got a sequential time that's relative to this time synchronization on our network. It fits in to our investigation. Lots of different ways to get the information that we want to see in Wireshark, where we need to see it. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, if you like these videos, please subscribe. And as I always say, whether it's a lecture, whether it's a lab, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.